Part 1. The Prison of Perfection. Have you ever had this experience? You're watching a movie, and the characters are speaking English. They're laughing, telling jokes, and the words are flowing so naturally, so easily. Or maybe you're listening to a colleague at work, presenting in perfect English, and everyone is nodding, understanding everything. And in that moment, a quiet, painful thought enters your mind. I will never be like them. I know this feeling. I lived this feeling for a very, very long time. I used to look at fluent English speakers as if they were magicians. I thought they had a secret key, a special talent that I was born without. I believed in the myth of the natural. I thought some people just got it, and I was not one of those people. This belief created a prison for me. It was a prison made of my own fears and insecurities. Every time I thought about speaking English, the walls of this prison would get higher. I would imagine myself making a mistake, and I could feel the embarrassment already. I would imagine someone not understanding me, and I would feel the shame. So, what did I do? I stayed silent. I avoided conversations. I told myself, it's better to be quiet and let people think I don't know than to speak and prove it to them. This is the myth of the perfect learner. It's the story we tell ourselves that fluent speakers are a different species. We see the final, polished result, the beautiful, confident speech, and we assume the journey to get there was just as smooth and effortless. We see the finished, magnificent cathedral, but we weren't there for the years of laying the foundation, brick by brick, in the mud and the rain. What I discovered, what truly freed me from my prison, was a simple but profound truth. Every single master was once a disaster. Think about that. Every person you admire for their English skills started from zero. They all began with one word. Hello, my name is. They all struggled with the same sounds you struggle with. The off-th sound that feels strange on your tongue. The confusing prepositions. The verb tenses that don't seem to follow any logical rule. They all had their first hesitant conversation. Their hearts were pounding, just like yours. They all made mistakes that made them blush. They all said things that sounded silly. The difference is not that they didn't make mistakes. The difference is that they didn't let those mistakes define them. They didn't see a mistake as a final judgment on their ability. They saw it as a single step, one of thousands, on their long and beautiful journey. I had to learn that the goal is not to be a perfect speaker. The goal is to be a persistent learner. The goal is to be brave enough to lay your first brick, even when you can't yet imagine the cathedral. Your journey, with all its stumbles and imperfections, is what will make your success real and meaningful and truly yours. The most fluent English speaker in the world was once exactly where you are right now. They just decided to take one more step than anyone else. And that is a decision you can make too, starting today. Part 2. Your two brains. The fixed versus the growth mindset. So, if the perfect learner is a myth, what is real? What truly separates someone who gets stuck from someone who gets fluent? The answer lies not in your talent, but in your mindset. Your mindset is the invisible engine of your learning journey. It's the voice in your head that comments on everything you do. And I discovered that there are two very different voices, two different mindsets we can have. Understanding this was the single most important discovery of my entire English journey. Let me introduce you to them. First, there is the fixed mindset. This is the voice of the prison. The fixed mindset believes that your intelligence, your talent, your ability for languages is carved in stone. It's a fixed trait. You either have it or you don't. This mindset is terrified of challenges because a challenge is a test that could prove you're not good enough. It hates mistakes because a mistake is not a lesson. It's a failure, a confirmation of your lack of ability. I can hear my old fixed mindset voice so clearly. Why even try? You'll just embarrass yourself. See? You made a mistake. You're just not a language person. That person is so much better than you, just give up. It sounds harsh, but it does this to protect you. It tries to keep you safe in your comfort zone, away from potential failure and judgment. But in doing so, it also keeps you away from all growth, all progress, and all real success. Now, let me introduce you to its powerful opposite, the growth mindset. The growth mindset believes that your abilities are like muscles. They can be developed and strengthened through dedication, hard work, and yes, through making mistakes. This mindset doesn't see a challenge as a threat. It sees it as an opportunity to get stronger. It doesn't see a mistake as a failure. It sees it as the most valuable piece of data on your learning journey. A mistake is not the end of the road. It's a signpost saying, "Pay attention here." This is where you learn. When I learned to listen to my growth mindset voice, everything changed. That voice sounds different. This is difficult, but difficult things help me grow. I didn't know how to say that, but now I do. That's progress. That person is amazing. I can learn something from them. The beautiful, liberating truth is this: you are not stuck with one voice. Your mindset is a choice. You can learn to recognize the voice of the fixed mindset, that old, fearful narrator of your story, and you can consciously choose to answer it with the voice of the growth mindset. Think of your last English study session or conversation. Which voice was louder? When you didn't understand something, did you think, "I'm so stupid," fixed? Or did you think, "I need to listen to that part again"? Growth. This simple awareness is the first and most powerful step, because you cannot change what you don't see. You have both mindsets within you. The question is, which one are you going to feed? Which one are you going to put in the driver's seat of your incredible English journey? Part 3, From Practice to Purpose. Transforming your English mission. You now know the secret. Fluency isn't about a perfect gene, it's about a growth mindset. But knowledge alone isn't power. Applied knowledge is power. So how do we take this powerful mindset off the shelf and use it in our daily lives? How do we stop thinking about growth and actually start growing? I learned this through a student of mine. Let's call him Lucas. Lucas was stuck. He knew a lot of grammar rules, he had a big vocabulary list, but when it came time to speak, he froze. He was trapped in his head, translating every word, terrified of the next mistake. He was practicing English, but he wasn't progressing. One day, I asked him a different kind of question. I didn't ask, "What did you study this week?" Instead, I asked, "What was your mission this week?" He looked confused. "My mission?" "Yes," I said. "Forget studying English? That's too big, too vague, and frankly, it sounds like a chore. I want you to be a language detective. I want you to go on a mission." This single shift in language, from study to mission, changed everything for him. And it can change everything for you. A study session is passive. It's something you endure. A mission is active. It's something you undertake. It has a goal, a focus, and a sense of curiosity and adventure. Here's how you transform your practice into your purpose. Step 1. Identify your target. Instead of saying, "I need to improve my speaking," you become specific. You listen to yourself and find the one single thing you want to hunt down. This week, your target is not grammar. Your target is the present perfect tense. or even more specific, using "have you ever" to ask about life experiences. Your target is not vocabulary. It's 5 words to describe my feelings when I'm tired. See the difference? A target is clear, aimable, and achievable. Step 2. Gather your intelligence. Now, you don't just open a textbook. You go on a reconnaissance mission in the real world. If your target is "have you ever," you go to YouTube and type in "have you ever conversation" or "celebrity interview have you ever." You listen not as a passive student, but as an active spy, collecting how real people use this phrase. What words come after it? What is their intonation? You might find a song that uses it. You are gathering live intelligence from the field. Step 3. Execute your mission in the real world. This is the most crucial step. You must use your target within 24 hours. Your mission is not complete when you understand it. It's complete when you use it. So, you create 3 sentences about your life. Have you ever eaten Thai food? Have you ever lost your keys? Have you ever felt completely overwhelmed? You say them out loud. You text them to a language partner. You write them in your journal. You have now moved the target from the external world into your own mind and mouth. You have completed the mission. For Lucas, his first mission was the word "actually." He noticed it was everywhere in natural speech. His mission was to understand its real use, not just the dictionary definition, and use it 3 times that week. He came back the next time transformed. He was excited. He had a story. I used "actually" when correcting a friend, and it worked. The language was no longer a subject. It was a tool he had successfully deployed on a mission. Your practice becomes purposeful. Every week, you're not just studying. You're a language operative on a new mission. You're hunting down the past continuous, capturing the secret meaning of "I guess," or mastering the intonation of a genuine compliment. This is how you build confidence. Not by knowing everything, but by knowing you can successfully learn and use anything you target. You are in control. You are on the hunt. And every completed mission is a victory that fuels your growth mindset and proves to you, beyond any doubt, that you are capable of becoming fluent. Part 4. Your English Feedback Loop. The system that builds itself. Now you have the right mindset. You're going on missions. But there's one more piece, a crucial system that turns occasional effort into unstoppable momentum. I call it the English Feedback Loop. This is the engine that makes your progress automatic. For the longest time, my learning felt like pushing a giant boulder up a hill. Every day was a struggle. I would study hard for a week, then get tired, forget, and feel like I was back at the bottom. It was exhausting. I was relying on sheer willpower, and willpower, like motivation, is a feeling that comes and goes. The breakthrough came when I stopped trying to push the boulder and instead built a cycle, a simple, self-reinforcing loop that made growth inevitable. This loop has 3 simple stages: do, notice, adjust. Stage 1. Do, the brave action. This is your mission. But it's more than that. It's any small, brave action you take in English. It's sending that voice message to your language partner. It's writing that comment on a YouTube video. It's ordering your coffee in English at the cafe. It's doing one focused listening session. The key is that you do something that puts you in contact with the real language. This isn't passive reading. This is active use. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be done. Stage 2. Notice, the gentle observation. After you do, you don't just move on. You pause. You become a kind, curious scientist observing your own experiment. You ask gentle questions. If you spoke, How did that feel? Where did I hesitate? What word did I have to search for? What did the other person say that I understood perfectly? If you wrote, "When I read this back, does it sound like the English I see in articles? What feels clunky?" If you listened, "What phrase did I miss? Can I catch the gist? What was the speaker's emotion?" This is not about judging yourself. It's about gathering data. You are not a critic. You are a collector of clues. The moment you notice something, I always mix up he and she, or I never know the past tense of this verb, you have struck gold. You have found the target for your next mission. Stage 3. Adjust. The tiny improvement. This is where the magic happens. You take the one thing you noticed, and you make one tiny, immediate adjustment. You don't try to fix everything. You fix one thing. You noticed you forgot the past tense of think? You look it up right then, thought, and you say 3 sentences out loud. "I thought about it. She thought it was good. We thought the movie was long." You noticed you didn't understand a fast phrase in a podcast. You rewind, listen 3 more times, and maybe even say it with the same rhythm. Then you immediately go back to DO. You use that corrected past tense in your next sentence. You try to mimic that podcast phrase. The loop closes and starts again. Do, notice, adjust. Do, notice, adjust. This loop is powerful because it makes learning personal, immediate, and rewarding. You're not following a generic textbook chapter. You're solving your own real puzzles. Every cycle makes you slightly more competent, slightly more aware. The progress is baked into the system. I had a student, Anna, who used this loop with music. Her DO was to sing along to one song each day. Her notice was, "I can't pronounce the R in river fast enough." Her adjust was to isolate that one line, "Sittin' by the river," and repeat it 20 times slowly, then fast. 1 week later, that specific problem was gone. She didn't study pronunciation. Her feedback loop solved it for her. Your English growth doesn't have to be a chaotic struggle. It can be a calm, consistent, self-correcting cycle. Build your feedback loop today. Do one small thing. Notice with curiosity. Make one tiny adjustment. And watch as this simple system builds your fluency for you. One complete loop at a time. Part 5. The conversation equation. Why you're overcomplicating communication. You have your mindset. You have your missions. You have your feedback loop. So why does the thought of a real, live conversation still sometimes feel like facing a final boss in a video game? Your heart beats faster. Your mind goes blank. You think, "I'm not ready. I need more vocabulary, more grammar, more something before I can talk to a person." I want to let you in on a secret I learned the hard way. We are not preparing for a test. We are preparing for a connection. And we have wildly overcomplicated what a connection requires. For years, I treated conversations like a high-stakes performance. I thought I needed to construct perfect sentences in my head before I opened my mouth. I believed my job was to impress the other person with my level of English. This made every interaction exhausting and terrifying. My breakthrough came when I stopped trying to perform and started trying to connect. And I discovered a simple, liberating equation. Curiosity plus key phrases greater than perfect grammar. Let me explain with a story. I once had a language exchange with a woman from Japan named Keiko. Our first call was a disaster by my old standards. My grammar was messy. I forgot words. I said he when I meant she. But I was determined to use my new approach. Instead of focusing on my own sentences, I focused on being curious about her. And I armed myself with 3 simple key phrases. "Really? Tell me more about that." "Wow, and how did that feel?" "Ah, I see." So what you're saying is, and then I'd try to summarize, that's it. I wasn't focusing on producing flawless English. I was focusing on understanding her story and showing her I was listening. And a magic thing happened. The pressure vanished. Because the goal was no longer speak perfectly. The goal was understand Keiko. When I used my key phrase, really, tell me more, she would light up and speak for 2 minutes. My job was just to listen, nod, and understand. When I summarized with, so what you're saying is, it gave me a safe way to check my understanding, and it showed her I truly cared about what she was saying. The conversation became about us, not about my English. This is the conversation equation in action. You don't need to be the most interesting person in the room. You need to be the most interested person in the room. Your mission this week, should you choose to accept it, is not to have a perfect conversation. It is to have a curious one. Step 1. Arm yourself with 3 connection phrases. These are your tools. They are simple, versatile, and they take the pressure off you to generate all the content. That's so interesting. Why is that? What do you think about, and then mention the topic you just discussed? I've never thought of it that way. Step 2. Enter with a detective's mindset. Your primary goal is not to talk. It is to discover. Go into your next conversation with a detective's curiosity. Who is this person? What do they love? What is a challenge they faced? Your key phrases are your tools for digging deeper. Step 3. Celebrate understanding, not speaking. After the conversation, don't judge yourself by the sentences you produced. Judge it by what you learned about the other person. Did you understand their main point? Did you learn something new about their life or culture? That is the true measure of a successful conversation. The words you managed to produce are just the vehicle that got you there. When you make the shift from performer to partner, from speaker to listener, you disarm the fear. The conversation is no longer a mirror reflecting your flaws. It becomes a bridge to another human being. And you will find that across that bridge, fluency doesn't just walk toward you. It runs. Part 6. The vocabulary trap. How to stop collecting words and start using a language. You're building a brave mindset. You're having curious conversations. But there's a silent, sneaky trap that catches almost every single language learner. And it held me captive for years. I call it the vocabulary trap. This is how it works. You believe that fluency is a giant collection of words. The more words you know, the more fluent you are. So, you start collecting them. You write lists. You use flashcard apps. You have notebooks filled with English words on one side and translations on the other. You feel productive. You feel like you're building your language brick by brick. But then, in a conversation, you need a word. You know this word. You've written it down 10 times. You've seen the flashcard. But your mind is empty. It's gone. The word has vanished. And in that moment, you feel like a fraud. You think, I've studied so much, but I know nothing. This was my reality. I had notebooks that looked like dictionaries, but I spoke English like a hesitant robot. I was a great collector of words, but a terrible user of language. The breakthrough came when I realized the fatal flaw in my logic. Words don't live alone. They live in families. They live in neighborhoods. Learning the word commit by itself is almost useless. But learning its family, make a commitment, deeply committed. Commit to a project that gives you a working tool. Learning that heavy doesn't just describe weight, but also heavy rain, heavy traffic, and a heavy conversation. That's how you learn to sound natural. I stopped being a collector and became a gardener. A collector piles up dead specimens. A gardener plants living seeds in fertile soil and helps them grow. Here's how you become a vocabulary gardener. Step 1. Plant the seed in fertile soil. Never, ever write a single, lonely word again. When you hear or read a new, useful word, you must write down the entire sentence or phrase you found it in. This is the fertile soil. For example, don't write actually equals na verdade. Do write, I thought the meeting was tomorrow, but it's actually today. The sentence gives the word context, life, and a real job to do. You're not memorizing a definition. You're remembering a story. Step 2. Water it with your own life. This is the magic step. Immediately, you must take that word or phrase and connect it to your world. You must plant it in the garden of your own experience. Using the example above, you would create 2 new, true sentences about you. I thought my keys were in my bag, but they were actually on my desk. My friend thought I didn't like coffee, but I actually love it. By doing this, you move the word from the page of a book or a stranger's sentence directly into your own brain's network of memories and experiences. This connection is superglue for memory. Step 3. Grow the family. Word families and chunks. Now, be a curious gardener. Look at your new word. What other words are its friends? What other forms does it have? For our word commit, you'd grow. The noun commitment, e.g., I have a prior commitment. The adjective committed, e.g., she is a committed teacher. The common chunk make a commitment, e.g., I'm ready to make a commitment. You are no longer growing one weak plant. You are growing a strong, interconnected cluster of language. This method, notice in context, personalize, grow the family, transformed my vocabulary from a dusty, useless collection into a living, breathing toolkit. I stopped forgetting words because I wasn't trying to remember isolated facts. I was remembering stories, personal connections, and useful families of language. You don't need to know every word. You need to know deeply the words that are useful to you. Be a gardener, not a collector. Nurture a smaller, healthier, more vibrant garden of language. And you will find you can express infinitely more than you ever could with a giant, forgotten pile of lexical bricks. Part 7. The Immersion Illusion. How to live in English without moving to another country. We've all heard the ultimate advice. If you want to be fluent, you need to move to an English-speaking country. For years, I believed this was the one, true secret. I thought immersion was a place you had to go to. I imagined myself magically absorbing English from the air, from the street signs, from simply being there. And because I couldn't move to London or New York, I felt like I was trying to run a race with one leg tied behind my back. I was waiting for a perfect future that might never come. This belief that immersion requires a plane ticket is what I call the immersion illusion. It makes your current life, your current city, your current room feel like a disadvantage. It tricks you into thinking you're not in the language. But here is the life-changing truth I stumbled upon. Immersion is not a location. It is a decision. It is the conscious choice to wrap your daily life in English, to build your own English-speaking world right where you are. I didn't discover this in a class. I discovered it in a moment of frustration and homesickness. I was watching a cooking video from my home country, and I couldn't find a good version in my language. So, reluctantly, I watched one in English. I followed the recipe. And as I was chopping vegetables, listening to the calm instructions, something shifted. I wasn't studying. I was just cooking. But my brain was soaking in English. I was immersed. That was the key. I stopped trying to add English to my life as a separate, difficult subject. I started infusing it into the life I was already living. You can build your immersion environment today. You don't need a passport, you need a plan. Here is your 3-step blueprint. Step 1. Claim your digital space. This is the easiest and most powerful layer. Your phone and computer are portals to the English-speaking world. Change the language. This is non-negotiable. Go into your phone settings and change the system language to English. Do the same for your computer and your most used apps, social media, email, your calendar. For 1 week, it will be frustrating. You will search for buttons. Then it will become normal. You will learn 1,000 practical words. Settings, download, submit, refresh, without a single flashcard. This alone transforms your relationship with technology from passive scrolling to passive learning. Curate your feed. Make your social media and YouTube feeds work for you. Unfollow accounts that distract you in your native language. Proactively search for and follow English-speaking creators who talk about your existing hobbies, be it fitness, gaming, woodworking, fashion, or philosophy. Let your entertainment become your input. Step 2. Create physical anchors. Bring English into your tangible world. Make it something you see and touch. The sticky note. Myth, many teachers say, label everything in your house. A sticky note on your window can help, but it's passive. Make it active. Don't just label the refrigerator. Put a note on it that says, "What's inside? Milk, eggs, dreams." A silly note on your mirror. "You look great today." Now, go learn something. This creates moments of engagement, not just decoration. The English-only zone. Designate one small, specific physical space as your English zone. It could be the corner of your sofa, where you do your reading. It could be your coffee mug that you only use when you're listening to an English podcast. This ritual tells your brain, when I am here with this object, I am in English mode. Step 3. Redefine your routines. This is where immersion becomes life. Look at your existing daily routines and swap the language. Your morning. Do you listen to music or the news while getting ready? Switch to an English podcast or a news channel like BBC Global News. Your commute or chores. This is golden time. Your mission is to listen, not to fully understand. Put on an audiobook, a podcast, or even an English TV show in the background while you clean or drive. Your brain is pattern matching, even when you're not focusing. Your downtime. The rule is simple. One for you, one for English. If you watch one episode of a show in your native language, the next is in English, with English subtitles, not your native language. If you read the news in your language, you also read one article from a site like BBC Learning English. The goal is not to understand 100%. The goal is to make English the normal background music of your life. You are not visiting the language for a 1-hour study session. You are inviting it to live with you. When I made this shift, I stopped feeling like I was on the outside of English looking in. I stopped waiting for a future immersion trip. I had built my own English-speaking universe in my apartment, in my pocket, in my daily habits. The language stopped being a foreign subject and started feeling like a familiar, comfortable part of my world. And that is when the real magic, the feeling of actually living in the language, truly begins. This is the environment where all your growth mindset, your missions, and your feedback loops will thrive. You have just built the perfect habitat for your fluency to grow. Part 8. The Long Game. How to win your English journey. 1% at a time. We've talked about building the right mindset, going on missions, creating a feedback loop, having genuine conversations, growing your vocabulary like a garden, and building an immersive world. This is the work. This is the beautiful daily practice. But I need to tell you the truth about this path. It's not a straight line. You will not wake up every single morning feeling more fluent than the day before. There will be weeks, maybe even months, where you feel stuck. You'll look in the mirror and think, I'm still making the same mistakes. I still can't understand movies without subtitles. I've been doing all of this, but nothing has changed. This moment, this feeling of being stuck on a plateau, is where most journeys end. This is the graveyard of good intentions. People quit here because they believe the myth of linear progress, the idea that effort must always lead to a visible upward result. When that result doesn't come fast enough, they conclude they have failed. I have stood in that graveyard. I remember one particular winter. I had been consistent for 6 months. I was doing everything right. And yet, when I tried to have a conversation with a neighbor, I stumbled over my words. I left feeling crushed. I thought, what is the point of all this work if I still sound like a beginner? I was ready to quit. What saved me wasn't a new technique or a secret trick. It was a simple shift in perspective that a mentor gave me. He said, stop measuring your English. Start measuring your consistency. He told me to forget about fluency for a year. My only job was to show up. Not to be great, not to be perfect, but just to be present with the language for a tiny amount of time every single day. He called it the 1% rule. The rule is simple. Your goal is not to get 100% better today. Your goal is to get 1% better, just 1%. 1% is invisible. You cannot see it or feel it. 1% is listening to one podcast episode, even if you zone out for half of it. 1% is writing 2 sentences in your journal. 1% is looking up one phrase you heard and saying it aloud 3 times. 1% is having a 2-minute text conversation with a language partner. On its own, 1% is nothing. It feels pointless. But here is the mathematics of magic. 1% better every day, compounded over a year, is not 365% better. It is you becoming 37 times better than you were when you started. The power is not in the single effort. The power is in the chain of efforts. The power is in the unbroken sequence of tiny, almost insignificant 1%. So, how do you play the long game? You change your scorecard. Old scorecard, did I become fluent today? Answer, always no. This leads to discouragement. New scorecard, did I complete my 1% today? Answer, easily, yes. This leads to empowerment. My mission for you is not to have a perfect conversation next week. My mission for you is to build a 30-day chain. Get a calendar. For the next 30 days, your only objective is to do your 1% for English and put a big, satisfying X on that date. Your job is to protect the chain. Nothing is more important than not breaking the chain. You will have bad days. You will be tired, busy, and unmotivated. On those days, your 1% becomes gloriously small. Your 1% is opening the podcast app and listening for 60 seconds. It's writing 1 sentence. Today, I am too tired to write. It is changing your phone's language to English. You do the smallest possible thing that lets you honestly put that X on your calendar. The chain is not measuring your talent or your intelligence. It is measuring your character. It is measuring your commitment to your future self. When I focused on my chain, everything changed. I stopped caring about the bad conversation with my neighbor. All I cared about was that I did my 1% that day. I listened to a song and looked up the lyrics. I put my X on the calendar. The plateau didn't feel like a prison anymore. It just felt like flat ground I was calmly walking across, 1% at a time, trusting that the landscape would change ahead. You win the long game by playing the short game perfectly. Win today. Get your 1%. Mark your X. Protect the chain. Let the compounding do its silent, miraculous work. This is how you cross the plateau. Not with a frantic sprint, but with a slow, steady, unbeatable walk. Your consistency will become your confidence. Part 9. The Ally in the Mirror. Becoming your own best teacher. We have built systems. We have built habits. We have built an immersive world. But there is one relationship, more important than any other, that will determine your ultimate success or failure on this journey. It is the relationship you have with the person you see in the mirror. For years, my worst enemy sat right between my own two ears. My inner voice was a cruel critic. Every mistake was a character flaw. Every moment of confusion was proof of my stupidity. "You'll never get this," it would whisper. "Why are you even trying? Listen to you. You sound like a child." I believed this critic was telling me the truth. I believed its harshness was necessary to push me to be better. But it wasn't pushing me. It was paralyzing me. I was so afraid of its judgment that I avoided the very practice that would make me improve. I was trying to learn a new language while being bullied in my own mind. The transformation didn't begin when I found a better textbook. It began when I decided to fire that critic and hire a new inner voice, a coach, an ally. Your inner coach is not a cheerleader who ignores your mistakes. A good coach sees the mistakes with crystal clarity, but instead of using them to punish you, they use them to guide you. The critic shouts, "You failed!" The coach asks gently, "What can we learn from this?" This shift from critic to coach is the final, most profound level of your language learning journey. Here is how you make that change, starting today. Step 1. Catch the critic in the act. For the next 24 hours, your only job is to notice. Don't try to change the voice yet. Just listen. When you miss a word in a conversation, what does the voice say? "I'm so stupid." Write that down. When you forget a grammar rule, what's the thought? "I never learn." Write that down. Shine a light on the critic. See its familiar, unhelpful patterns. Step 2. Translate the criticism into coaching. This is the active work. Take the critic's statement and translate it into your coach's language. Critic: "My pronunciation is terrible. I'll never sound good." Coach: "My pronunciation of the that sound is a current challenge. That's a specific skill I can practice." Critic: "That conversation was a disaster." Coach: "I felt nervous and lost my words. Next time, I can prepare one key phrase to start with." See the difference? The critic deals in absolutes and judgments. The coach deals in specifics and actionable steps. The critic condemns you. The coach believes in your ability to grow. Step 3. Create your self-encouragement journal. At the end of each day, I want you to do one simple exercise. Open a notebook or a note on your phone. Write down these 3 things. One thing I did well today in English. This can be tiny. I remembered the past tense of think in a conversation. I understood the main idea of a podcast. I didn't give up when I felt stuck. One specific challenge I faced. Be precise. Not, "My speaking was bad," but, "I struggled to describe what I did last weekend." One small adjustment for next time. This is your coach's game plan. Tomorrow, I will practice telling a short story about my weekend, just to myself. By doing this, you are systematically training your brain to look for evidence of your progress, which the critic ignores, and to frame challenges as solvable puzzles. You are building a case for yourself, file by file, day by day. You will become your own most insightful teacher, your most patient guide, and your most powerful source of motivation. Because when the world is quiet, and it's just you and the language, the voice you need to hear is not one of ridicule, but one of unwavering belief. That voice must become your own. The person in the mirror is not your judge. They are your student, and they are your master. They are on this journey with you. Start treating them like the most important ally you will ever have. Part 10. Your English Brain. Making the switch from translation to thought. Here is a moment I know you've experienced. Someone asks you a question in English. You hear the words. You understand them. But before you can answer, a frantic, invisible process kicks off inside your mind. It feels like a busy office. The listener hears your silence, but in your head, there's chaos. You grab the concept, run it to the translation department, wait for the grammar team to assemble the sentence, send it to the pronunciation desk for approval, and finally, after what feels like an eternity, you speak. The sentence comes out slow, forced, and you're exhausted. This is the translation trap. And as long as you live inside it, fluency will feel like a distant, exhausting dream. You are using English, but you are thinking in your native language. My biggest leap forward didn't happen when I learned more grammar. It happened the day I realized I had to stop speaking English and start thinking in English. I had to build a new room in my mind, a room where English lived on its own, without a constant translator. This is the ultimate goal. This is where the language stops being a code you crack and starts being a tool you simply use. The good news? You don't have to move to another country to build this room. You build it through tiny daily habits that train your brain to bypass the translation office. Step 1. Start with the environment. Narrate your tiny world. We talked about immersion. Now we weaponize it for your thoughts. Your mission is to become the narrator of your own life, but silently in your head. Start with the simplest, most boring moments. You are making coffee. Instead of the silent routine, think in English. Okay, I need the cup. The coffee is in the cupboard. This water is hot. I'm pouring it now. It smells good. You are walking to the bus stop. The sky is gray today. That dog is big. The red car is fast. This is not about poetry. It's about creating a direct neural pathway between an experience and the English words for it. You are not translating cafe. You are seeing the coffee, and your brain directly retrieves coffee. This is the foundation. Step 2. Upgrade to emotions and opinions. The inner commentator. Once simple narration becomes a habit, level up. Start commenting on your feelings and opinions in English. You read a news headline. Think, "That's surprising," or "I disagree with that." You finish a task. Think, "I'm proud of that," or "That was harder than I expected." You see a beautiful scene. Think, "What a stunning view," or "This is so peaceful." This builds the emotional vocabulary and sentence structures you need for real conversation. Your thoughts become your most constant and most patient practice partner. Step 3. The No Translate Reading Challenge. When you read in English, you will inevitably hit a word you don't know. Your instinct is to immediately translate it. Fight that instinct. This week, your rule is no dictionary for the first pass. Instead, when you see an unknown word, you must guess its meaning from the words around it, the context. Circle it, make a guess, and keep reading. Only after you finish the paragraph or page go back and check. This forces your brain to stay in English mode, solving puzzles with English clues. It's frustrating at first, but it builds incredible intuitive understanding. Step 4. Embrace the fuzzy. Understanding. This is the most liberating step. In your native language, you often listen with fuzzy understanding. You get the gist, the feeling, the main point, without analyzing every single word. You must grant yourself the same grace in English. When listening to a podcast, don't cling to the one word you missed. Focus on the overall idea. Ask yourself, what is the main point? What is the speaker's feeling? Let the unknown words wash over you. Your brain is amazing. It will start to fill in the blanks from context. Trust it. This practice of listening for the message instead of the individual words is the final key to unlocking fluid thought. This shift is slow. Some days, your inner translator will take over again. That's okay. Gently guide yourself back. One day, you'll be in the middle of a conversation and you'll realize something magical. A gap. A small, silent space between the question and your answer where there was no frantic translation. Just a thought, forming directly in English, and then becoming speech. In that moment, you won't just be speaking English. You will have arrived, finally, in your English mind. And the door to that room, once built, never truly closes. Part 11. The Art of the Small Win. Building unshakable confidence. We've built the systems. We've even started building the English mind. But there's a hidden fuel that every successful learner needs. A fuel that is more powerful than any grammar rule or vocabulary list. Confidence. For so long, I thought confidence would come after I was fluent. I believed it was the reward at the end of the journey. When I can finally speak perfectly, I thought, then I will feel confident. This was completely backwards. I was waiting for a feeling that I needed to start the journey. I discovered the truth. Confidence isn't the prize you get for winning. It is the fuel you use to win. And you don't get it from big, rare moments of triumph. You manufacture it, day by day, through the deliberate collection of small wins. A small win is not, I became fluent today. That's a fantasy. A small win is a tiny, concrete, undeniable proof of your own progress. It is so small that the critical part of your brain might try to ignore it. Your job is to catch it, celebrate it, and collect it. Here is how you become an archaeologist of your own small wins. The 3-question daily. Dig. At the end of each day, ask yourself these 3 questions. Do not go to sleep without answering them. What was my aha moment? Did you suddenly understand a song lyric you've heard 100 times? Did you recognize a grammar rule in a real headline? Did you hear a word you just learned? That aha is a neural connection firing. It's a small win. Write it down. Today, I finally understood why they use the in the radio, but not in radio in general. Where did I be just 1% braver? Fluency is built on moments of courage, not perfection. Did you use a new word in a text, even if you weren't 100% sure? Did you try to pronounce a difficult word out loud? Did you send a voice message instead of a text? That tiny act of bravery is a small win. Today, I asked a question in the online forum instead of just reading. What did I enjoy? This is the most important one. Learning connected to joy is learning that sticks. Did you laugh at a joke in a TV show? Did you enjoy the sound of a particular phrase? Did you feel proud reading a short article? That positive emotion is the glue for your memory. It's a small win. Today, I really enjoyed listening to that podcast about space. It was interesting, not just studying. The confidence jar. This is a physical or digital practice. Get a jar, a box, or a notes app on your phone. Every time you identify a small win, a moment of understanding, a moment of bravery, a moment of joy, you write it on a slip of paper and put it in the jar. I explained my job to my language partner. I didn't panic when I didn't know a word. I described it. I watched a 10-minute cartoon without subtitles and got the story. On days when you feel stuck, when the critic is loud, and you feel like you've made no progress, you open the jar. You pull out 5 slips of paper. You read them. You will be holding in your hands irrefutable evidence that you are learning, that you are brave, that you are on the path. You cannot argue with your own written history. Confidence built this way is unshakable. It is not based on a single test score or a compliment from someone else. It is based on the private, documented truth of your own persistent effort. It's a confidence that knows setbacks are just data, and that the next small win is always just around the corner, waiting for you to notice it. Your fluency will be the sum of 1,000 small wins. Start collecting them today. Part 12. Beyond Words. How to have conversations that matter. You're collecting small wins. You're thinking in English. You're building confidence. But there comes a point where something inside you shifts. It's no longer enough to just practice English. A deeper hunger awakens. You don't just want to speak correctly. You want to speak meaningfully. You want to connect, to share ideas, to understand someone's story and to tell your own. You want a conversation that leaves you feeling energized, not just exhausted from the mental gymnastics. This was the scariest and most beautiful frontier of my journey. I became fluent in grammar before I became fluent in connection. I could construct a sentence, but I struggled to build a bridge. The turning point came with a conversation that was a total disaster by my old standards. I was talking to a man from Scotland named David. My grammar was shaky. I mispronounced Edinburgh. I used a word completely wrong and created a funny misunderstanding. By my old scorecard, it was a failure. But we talked for an hour. We talked about our favorite books, about why people are afraid of change, about what makes a good life. When we hung up, I wasn't thinking about my mistakes. I was thinking about his ideas. I felt energized. For the first time, English wasn't the barrier. It was the bridge. I had moved beyond words. Here is how you make that shift, from language practice to human connection. Principle 1. Listen to understand, not to respond. In a practice conversation, your brain is often busy planning your next sentence while the other person is still talking. You're listening for a gap to insert your pre-made phrase. In a meaningful conversation, you surrender that control. Your only job is to truly understand what the other person is saying and feeling. This takes immense pressure off you. When your focus shifts from your own performance to the other person's story, your anxiety melts away, and your comprehension miraculously improves. How to do it. After they finish a thought, before you share yours, try one of these powerful phrases. So, what I'm hearing is, and summarize. That sounds challenging, exciting. Tell me more about that. Why is that important to you? Principle 2. Trade perfection for personality. Your goal is not to sound like a dictionary. Your goal is to sound like you. Let your personality, your humor, your curiosity shine through the imperfect English. A perfectly grammatically correct sentence that is emotionless is forgettable. A sentence with a small mistake, but that is genuine and full of your true feeling, is what creates connection. Say, I am so excited, with real energy. Admit, I have no idea how to say this in English, but... and then try to describe it. This vulnerability is your superpower. It makes you human and relatable. Principle 3. Build on the shared topic. This is the secret glue of great conversations. Don't jump from your prepared topic to your next prepared topic. Dive deeper into what they just said. They say, "I love gardening." Weak response. "Oh, nice. I like movies." This ends the thread. Strong response. "Really? What do you love most about it? Is it the peacefulness or watching things grow?" This builds the bridge. Your vocabulary and grammar are just tools. They are the hammer and nails. But what you are building with them is the house where a real meeting of minds can happen. Your mistakes become just the unique texture of the wood, part of the charm of the structure. Your next mission is not a language mission. It is a human mission. Have one conversation where you forget you are speaking English. Focus entirely on learning one new, true thing about the other person. Did they have a childhood dream? What's a problem they're trying to solve? What makes them laugh? When you walk away from that conversation remembering their story more than your own errors, you will have crossed into a new territory. You will have discovered that fluency isn't just about speaking a language flawlessly. It's about using a language to touch another life. And that is a skill worth every bit of the journey. Final part. The journey is the destination. So here we are. We started with a dream. The dream of speaking English freely, confidently, fluently. We began by breaking down the biggest lie, the myth of the perfect learner who was born with a secret talent you don't have. We replaced that lie with a powerful truth. You grow through your effort. We equipped you with a new mindset, the growth mindset. We turned studying into exciting missions. We built a self-correcting feedback loop. We learned to have conversations that connect, not just perform. We discovered how to build our own English world, collect small wins, and become our own best coach and ally. We even started building an English mind. If you look at this list, it can seem like a lot, but I want you to see it for what it truly is. Not a rigid set of rules, but a toolkit. And you don't need to use every tool every single day. Your journey is unique. Your life, your schedule, your goals, your passions, they are all different from anyone else's. So the most important skill you develop is not perfect grammar. It is self-awareness. Listen to yourself. What do you need today? Do you feel tired and discouraged? Then your tool is the small win. Do one tiny thing and celebrate it. Protect your chain. Do you feel bored and stuck? Your tool is a mission. Go hunt down one interesting phrase from a song you love. Are you avoiding speaking? Your tool is the conversation equation. Focus on curiosity. Be the most interested person. Do you understand but can't speak quickly? Your tool is thinking in English. Narrate your coffee. Comment on your day. This is the real secret. Fluency is not a final perfect state you arrive at. Fluency is a relationship. It's your daily, evolving relationship with the English language. Some days that relationship is easy and joyful. Some days it's frustrating and hard. And that's completely normal. It's true for any meaningful relationship in your life. You will have good seasons and hard seasons. The goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to be resilient. To know that when you fall off track, you have a simple, kind system to guide you back. To know that the voice in your head is your coach, not your critic. To know that every single step, even the stumbling ones, is part of the path. You now have the map. You have the compass. You have the tools. You don't need to wait for permission, for the right time, or for a magic shortcut. The journey is the destination. Every moment you spend, engaged, curious, and brave in English, is you being a fluent learner. That is the only title that matters. So close this video, this guide, this series, and take your one next step. Make it small. Make it yours. And trust that this step, and the one after it, is building a future where English is simply a part of who you are and how you connect with your beautiful, wider world. You can do this. I am not just telling you that. You have equipped yourself with the proof. Now, go and build it, 1% at a time. Congratulations. Your journey continues. So, what is the one tool from this series you are going to focus on this week? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one. If this series helped you, share it with a friend who is on their own language journey. And as always, subscribe to English Tonight for more simple, powerful tools to build your confidence and fluency. Keep going. I believe in you. See you in the next lesson.